So providing feedback that moves learning forward. So I'm going to talk about a case study here from Butler in 1988 that showed that when you control for the same teaching, same aims, same teacher, same classwork, the following findings were made. If you use score-only marking, there's no gain in achievement. And actually, in terms of attitude, high scores felt really positive, of course, because they're getting their ego stroked. And low scores felt negative because, of course, you're putting them into where they are. They're in the lower third or whatever. In comments only, there was actually a 30% gain in achievement overall. So we're talking about comments only marking here. And in terms of attitude, high scores were really positive because obviously they're getting told what they need to do and how they can improve on it. And low scores were positive as well because you're not engaging the ego, and what you're doing is you're telling them what they've done well or how they can improve on what they haven't. And then in scores and comments, there was actually no gain. And that's kind of counterintuitive because you think if you give the score and the comment, there will be some gain. But actually, it's as bad as score only marking. So again, no achievement gain, high scores were positive and low scores felt negative. And this isn't the only study to find this. In fact, the biggest barrier to feedback is student ego. So if we remove the ego or the grades, we'll see drastic improvement in performance. And this is backed up by another study by Klunger and Denisi, which conducted a review of 3,000 research reports on feedback in the years from 1996 backwards. And their findings were actually quite startling. The first of which was that of the 3,000 studies, only 131 of them were methodologically rigorous enough to be included, which means we had in excess of 2,800 studies that were making findings that they had no right to make or claim because they weren't methodologically rigorous enough. Of the 131, however, most found feedback increased student achievement. Okay, that makes sense. However, 38% or 56 of these studies actually found feedback decreased student achievement. Now that's a worrying enough figure. Like if 38% of these show that feedback decreased student achievement, are we right to be trying to improve feedback and how we give it? But actually, subsequent investigations found that this was attributed to feedback which was targeted at the ego. So again, this is around giving scores, or actually in most cases, talking about the student personally. So when they make personal comments to the student, it engaged their ego. So we now have evidence that shows 38% of studies found that when you engage ego through feedback, you have that negative response again. So 2 conditions for effective feedback were then identified. It told people what to do, and it told them how to do it. So when we think about our feedback slides from earlier on, when we talk about moving learning forward, that's what we do. We tell the students what they need to do, we tell them how to do it, and then we have our own ways around developing the feedback around that through task, process, and self-regulation.